Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Dr. Anna Cabeca. Anna Cabeca, DO-OBGYN, FACOG, is an internationally acclaimed menopause and sexual health expert, global speaker, and pioneering promoter of women's health. She is Emory University trained and triple board certified in gynecology and obstetrics, integrative medicine, and anti-aging and regenerative medicine. She is the author of The Hormone Fix, a diet and holistic lifestyle program for menopausal women. Dr. Cabeca's areas of specialty include bioidentical hormone treatments and natural hormone balancing strategies, and she has received extensive acclaim for her virtual transformation programs, including Women's Restorative Health, Sexual CPR, and Magic Menopause. She created the successful and popular alkaline superfoods drink, Mighty Maca Plus, and a top-selling rejuvenating vulvar cream for women, Julva. Dr. Cabeca was named 2018 Innovator of the Year by Mindshare, the #1 conference for health and wellness influencers, and was also honored with the prestigious 2017 Alan P. Mintz Award presented annually by the Age Management Medicine Group to an outstanding physician who displays clinical excellence in entrepreneurship. Dr. Cabeca has reached hundreds of thousands of women around the globe, inspire them to reclaim their optimal health and realize they can journey through menopause and find more purpose and pleasure than they ever dreamed possible. She has been interviewed by all major television networks and has been featured in InStyle, HuffPost, First, and Mind Body Green. She balances her passion for women's health with faith, grace, and skill while raising 4 daughters on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and leading the nonprofit foundation she created in honor of her son, Garrett V. Bivens, who tragically died as a toddler. Follow her journey on her blog at dranna.com. Today, we talked about the menopause that women get with all of the belly fat when they're having all these hormone shifts in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. And we never did cover PMS. Sorry, maybe you'll have to have her back on. And it was so incredible today. Dr. Anna Cabeca is such an advocate for women's health. And we talked about just managing our stress, working with adrenal fatigue, balancing our hormones, eating for the changes our body has made, realizing we have to change what we're doing. What we're doing is no longer working. And Anna talks about her book, Keto Green, The Hormone Fix, Menopause, her latest book coming out. I'm very excited to get my copy. And I totally subscribe to her Mighty Maca Plus. Love, love, love that stuff. It is such a game changer for your balancing your hormones, your energy levels, so many things. We go into detail about that product and what all is included inside of it. We did not talk about night sweats, but we talked about lack of sleep and heightened cortisol in menopause, what to do about that. We also talked about just overall fasting, intermittent fasting, ketogenics and ketosis, what they are, how to manage your eating plan so it is more ketogenic. Dr. Anna is more about a clean keto, not necessarily a dirty keto. And this was just so many things today that we covered. She is well versed in the topic. So make sure you check out her latest book, Menopause, that's coming out April the 12th. And I'm very excited to be an affiliate for Dr. Anna. So in the show notes, make sure to click on the link if you want to get the book before it comes out and get all of her lovely bonuses. Without further ado, we are going to dive into this episode with the one and only Dr. Anna Cabeca. I am so excited to welcome Dr. Anna Cabeca to the Sisterhood of Sweat today. Welcome.
It is great to be here with you. Thank you. You're inspiring me.
Oh, thanks. You inspire me. I love everything you're about. And this is a sisterhood. So we welcome you into our sisterhood with open arms where we can share ideas, build each other up, and just become healthier overall. And I'm so excited to have you on. But first, I want to get my listeners getting to know you a little bit. Can you tell us, how did you ever get started into this space and become the girlfriend doctor?
Oh my gosh. So, well, they say your mess becomes your message. That's definitely true with me. So I trained as an OBGYN, and I then went on and further trained in functional medicine, bioidentical hormone replacement. And then I found myself falling into a deep pit. And at 48, I was spiraling downward, struggling with brain fog, memory loss, gaining weight back. I'd once been well over 240 pounds, had lost that weight and kept it off for nearly a decade. And then it went on like without doing anything different. And Linda, I know your clients will say this to you. They'll say to me, Dr. Anna, I'm gaining 5, 10, 20 pounds and I'm not doing anything different. As a young cocky doctor, I was like, sure, you're not, right? But that happened to me. I built my practice through humility, I'm telling you, for sure. And so that led me into discovering what I do, the Keto Green Way, and bringing Magic Menopause online, my program, and my Girlfriend Doctor community. But actually the name, the Girlfriend Doctor, came from one of Oprah's producers, her final executive producer, Sherry Salata. And Sherry
Cool.
and Nancy, they started calling me the Girlfriend Doctor, like, oh my gosh, no one's evaluated with this detail or discuss things in a way that we can really relate to. And so they would introduce me on their show as the Girlfriend Doctor. And so that name stuck. And so that's been fun, because I like that, because sometimes we see the white coat and we also close up. Like, I don't want to reveal that I don't know the answer, or that I'm not well, or whatever, and put on this facade. And it's actually what we have to do is be real, be honest, be authentic, identify what's working for us, what's working against us, and ask for help. And we need to do that, especially in perimenopause and menopause. And I'm thankful for my own journey and the patients who opened up to me to say, you know what, this isn't working. Here's, like, there's got to be a better way. And it set me on a journey looking. So that's been my
I love
message and
that.
our
And when
message.
Oprah calls you the girlfriend doctor, you're
Oprah's executive
forever.
producer,
Okay. I
executive
was like,
producer.
you're
Yeah,
forever the girlfriend
forever.
doctor.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still
Great,
waiting
great.
for that interaction with Oprah. I look forward to that one day, maybe with Menopause.
I love it. And I can totally see that. And especially, well, she's, I'm sure, in postmenopause. And so, when they give you a nickname like that, you got to run with it. And I love it. I used to call before Sisterhood of Sweat and before my Chick Fit studio, I called my boot camp Girlfriends Bikini Boot Camp.
I love it.
So it's so fun to be on the show with you today. And I love all that you're about. Why did you decide to become a doctor?
So one thing is that, I actually, as a young girl, I always loved, like, I thought I would be a ballerina, a nun, or a doctor. And so I became a doctor by default, actually. So that was, I really did. I think I became a doctor by default, but I loved healing. And my mom was in and out of the hospital, and I was in and out of the hospital as a young kid with ear surgeries. I had 6 ear surgeries by the time I was 12. And oh my gosh, had I known it was that dairy sensitivity that plagued me my adult life too, that would have cleared all that up. But 6-year surgery. So I admired the doctors that were tender and caregiving to me. And then with my mom in and out of the hospital, when I was 16, she was undergoing heart surgery. And I realized that the surgery and medications that they put her on was based on research done on men. And so that made me a
Mm.
woman's health advocate.
Wow. And I so much of that, there's so much in what you just said. So much. I think many of the time it could be women having unnecessary surgeries. So much has gone on in the women's health, that I just love that you've dedicated your life to this and to helping women, because I think it takes a special sort of person, a person that's been there, that understands what our needs are. And it's a conversation today that we're going to have that a lot of women don't get a chance to have. I really want to dive into perimenopause, menopause, PMS, postmenopause, all of it. But I'm going to first dive in. I'm going to be a little selfish. I'm going to dive right in to menopause. And what do? You find yourself doing all the things you've ever done to lose weight, to have energy, and none of that's working. So then you are like, okay, I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to pull out all the stops, and that isn't working. What are some solutions for the women today that find themselves there with a menopause around the belly and just a lack of energy and focus today?
Yeah, when all the things we're doing stops working, right? There's the natural hormone transition. And one thing that we need to understand is that as we get older, we become more insulin resistant, more prone to inflammation, diabetes, heart disease, dementia. And and cortisol also increases the aging hormone. So, and cortisol is a big reason for the menopause, right? That waistline belly fat, or the diminishing waistline, and bloat, food sensitivities. Our body becomes less resilient if we let it. So we have to empower it through menopause. So I always say menopause is natural and mandatory, but suffering is optional. When we are able to empower our, using biogenic hormones, that's a piece of it. But as I wrote in my first book, The Hormone Fix, it takes more than hormones to fix our hormones. And that is so true. So it takes more than hormones to fix our hormones. And what we want to do is definitely become more insulin sensitive. So hence the keto green way, getting into ketosis in a healthy way, the green or alkaline way, and managing cortisol through the thoughts and patterns, and supporting our adrenals through our food, and our gut bacteria through our food. Because the more in the perimenopause and menopause, and with PMS, all of the things you mentioned, there's the neurologic symptoms, the anxiety, the depression, the mood swings, the brain fog, the loss of libido. All of those are really neurologic symptoms. And so it's a fuel source. So shifting from glucose as your primary source, the standard way here in America, and shifting into a healthy ketosis and autophagy, and doing intermittent fasting, and eating keto green, all of those things really support optimal physiology and insulin sensitivity, and controlling cortisol to empower our body and our mind to reduce all those symptoms. And we see them drop away in days. And I think that's the empowerment piece that I'm just so motivated to share, because I saw where my mom was disempowered on 11 medications by the time she died prematurely at 67, having been seeing 5 different specialists, and struggling for the last 15 years of her life. And that should never happen to anyone. And no 2 of those medicines were ever studied together in any human being, let alone a menopausal woman.
So interesting. So cortisol, which I know is a culprit, because I definitely went through that whole gamut of figuring that out. When our cortisol is spiked, symptoms, what are symptoms that we can say, okay, I know my cortisol is high. And then besides the symptoms, what are ways we can bring the cortisol down to a normal level?
Well, I think one of the things is that cortisol and oxytocin kind of oppose each other. Like cortisol is the most acidifying breakdown hormone, fight or flight hormone, and oxytocin is the hormone that builds us up, that gives us joy and passion. And when we are under stress for a long time, our paraventricular and cortisol is being secreted constantly. The paraventricular nucleus in the brain will shut down cortisol production, and so with that, there's this dangerous phenomena where cortisol is low and oxytocin's low at the same time, and we feel that disconnect, that uh, burnout. That I know I love my partner, but I don't feel love for them. Or, I used to love going to the gym, or I used to love going to work, but I don't feel love for it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. That's that burnout physiology. And so with cortisol, it's the practices of waking up with sunrise, going to bed, turning off blue light with sunset, or wear blue light blockers. And especially when you're at the computer screen too, or looking at your smart devices. And so that we're not inhibiting or interrupting with our deep sleep. And having that good deep sleep will help with, your adrenal glands, will help restore your circadian cycle, and using adaptogens like my Mighty Maca Plus, which has 30 superfoods that support the adrenal glands and support alkalinization of your body, support detoxification pathways of your body. And that's critical for nutritional, for managing stress, managing the side effects of stress on our physiology. To counteract that, we have to counteract. There's got to be balance here, right? All one way is not good and all another way is not good. So there's some seesawing that has to happen. So with cortisol too, and the effects on our body, because cortisol is an acidifying hormone, it creates a very acidic urine pH by its effect on the kidneys. And so alkalinizing foods, the dark green leafy vegetables I talk about in my keto green way, the greens, right? The uh, beet greens, the broccoli sprouts, the cruciferous vegetables, all of those, the cabbage, and you know, uh, cauliflower, all of those really good things for your body are important for hormone detoxification, and also for balancing out your cortisol, for supporting, the alkalinization of your body, de-stressing the effects of stress.
And you mentioned the Mighty Maca. I've been subscribed to that for a long while.
Wow.
I love it. I use it every day. And so, what all is in the Mighty Maca? What besides maca?
Yes, and Mighty Maca Plus. Well, it came from my journey around the world, Linda. When I was burnt out in early menopause at 39 and failed fertility treatment after fertility treatment, I was in early menopause and ovarian failure and infertility. So part of my journey was to go to Peru, and this healing journey that I took. My nurse, who had been a nurse midwife in Peru, I went to stay with her family, and they said, "Well, if you're tired, drink maca. If you're no, if your baby's not thriving, drink maca. If you're, you know, low energy, drink maca." And they said, well, and if you're infertile, drink maca. And then they would elbow my husband at the time and say, well, it's the Peruvian Viagra. So of course, we were drinking some maca. Well, maca
He's
happened.
like, here's some maca, honey.
Yeah, exactly. Let's drink this. And so, but it tasted terrible. So I was like, huh, if maca's a superfood, what else can I add? I mean, I grew up with a family of chefs and gluttons, right? Like really gourmands. And so making things taste amazing is part of my upbringing. And so I started adding, okay, what else do you have here? What about some, fruit extracts that have superpowers? Cat's claw herb from Peru has been shown to have anti-cancer properties, a really, really supportive on our inflammatory pathways. And so I started adding as I traveled around the world, I started adding different things like the mangosteen and acerola fruit and different greens, and supporting the effects. I was recognizing the effects of stress on my physiology. And it just started to feel better and better. And as a result of that, like Mighty Maca, I mean, we have lots of Mighty Maca babies. I would say the first one is my daughter, Ava Marie, from, from that journey that reversed that early menopause and became pregnant naturally. The formula, it's over 30 superfoods combined together, and it works better than any individual ingredient. The synergy has been, and now I
Yeah,
first
your maca
formulated it.
powder does not taste bad.
It's
I
good.
used to have the maca that didn't taste so great. And I put your maca, I don't drink coffee anymore. I gave that up so I could lessen my cortisol. But I do have tea, which has got a lot less caffeine. And I put the maca in my cinnamon tea every day. The cinnamon kind of low, keeps my blood sugar stable. And I love the maca because it gives me really, actually, I feel like energy throughout the day. And with the maca, I know it attributes, or one of the claims to fame is it balances your hormones and that it boosts testosterone, which then would give you estrogen too if you needed it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. So naturally supporting your adrenals, your DHEA, and we've seen as much of a 200% increase in DHEAS in the blood in people who were doing 2 to 4 scoops of Mighty Maca Plus per day. So we saw that in just 2 months. That was powerful. I didn't realize, and we also saw an improvement in progesterone. So that luteal phase progesterone that also supports healthy pregnancy. I have a story of a woman named Nikki on my website too that talks about that. And in just the sexual health and function, right? Like we have to feel
The
good, to feel
libido.
sexy. Yeah. Libido. And
Right.
Mighty Maca
Hmm.
definitely helps with that because it's
Yeah.
getting rid of toxic metabolites and
And I
supporting you.
I like that you said feel sexy, because it's a feeling. It's the way we feel about ourselves. And if you're not feeling sexy, you really don't usually want sex as much. So I think feeling sexy is key to wanting more intimate relationships, with your partner. And so I love that you said the whole thing about feeling sexy. And when you're tired and burnt out, it may, and you're exhausted and your adrenals are down, it may just feel like one more job that you have to complete. So having energy is also a sign of having vibrant health. And so I love that you take all of those things into the equation. Now, when we're in menopause, many of us get brain fog. Can you explain why and what else can we do about it? I know Mighty Maca probably helps.
Definitely, definitely. One of the symptoms are brain fog, and that's because progesterone is a neuropeptide. It really helps our nervous system and helps our memory. It's good for memory. It's good for mood. It's kind of like what I call the lid of the pressure cooker of our lives. Progesterone keeps us responding, not reacting or overreacting. Well, in perimenopause, progesterone levels start to decline in our mid to late 30s. And with that, the brain's ability to use glucose for fuel also declines because that ability is also estrogen dependent, we know. But I think more likely progesterone has a bigger role here than science has shown yet because it hasn't studied it. So in the female brain, but progesterone is really powerful. And when our brain is like, as we get older and we get in this menopause state, a perimenopause, 35 to 55, a period of neuroendocrine vulnerability, those neurologic symptoms are what's happening, is what's going on. And we see the memory loss, the brain fog, the mood swings, all of those things are occurring because our brain's starving for fuel. When we shift from glucose to ketones in a healthy way, the keto green way, when we shift in that way, we get increased clarity, increased awareness, increased, it's like our brain's enlightenment, like our brain's on fire, the brain fog lifts, the memory improves and the mood improves. And it's a very stabilizing physiology. And that's what's happening during that shift, that progesterone decline. And then I call it like the lid blowing off the pressure cooker. We see mood swings, irritability, outburst, depression, right?
Yeah.
Relationship issues,
Hmm.
psychoses. I mean, we see all of these things, and especially add in stress. women in their 40s and 50s in the workplace, and constant stress, and yet we've taken off a protective layer. But yet, I will dial in bioidentical hormones, but as I write in my first book, The Hormone Fix, it takes more than hormones to fix our hormones. And this is where lifestyle, what you're doing, what you're teaching, what you're living by example for us, and what I've learned through the Keto Green Way, better than anything I can write on a prescription pad or do with a surgical knife. Game changing for our physiology, improves the balance, increases insulin sensitivity, decreases the deleterious effects of cortisol on our body, and enables us to enjoy life more and empower the most powerful hormone of our body, which is oxytocin.
And my sweet spot at the gym is this age: perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. That's majority of who's coming to see me. And they do have all of the things you mentioned, with the mood swings, the irritability, the emotional crying one day, the next day, and then having the brain fog, where they'll literally say to me, I feel like I just can't think. And I know it's all of these things, like with losing your estrogen, you mentioned progesterone, you have less of those hormones to cope with your stress. So I found in my life, walking away from stress, walking away from something, even though it may have been nothing before, but any kind of a disagreement, was better for me, because when my cortisol did get spiked, it would stay up. And sleep was hard, and sleep is what lowers your cortisol. And so I just see it being really learning to manage your stress, to me, was like number one. And just finding ways to get rest, get regular bedtime, getting 8 hours of sleep was golden. What do you tell women about all of this, managing their stress, sleeping, and this type of thing?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just exactly what you said. I mean, that a good day starts with a good night's sleep, right? And a good night's sleep starts with a good morning routine. So it is critical for anti-aging. That's the time our body needs to rest and restore. So one of the things that we do that's a mistake is eat late at night. So we want to eat earlier in the evening so that our body's not digesting instead of restoring when we're sleeping. And so that's a really big thing. And then using progesterone at night. So my balance cream is progesterone and pregnenolone combined with tripeptide, which is an anti-aging skin ingredient to get rid of those age spots that I had because I'm a sun worshiper. So, that's the important ingredient. Like I formulate
So
these
you
things
just
for
put it on
myself.
your skin wherever,
You
or?
can put it on your skin where there's thin skin, where you see veins. So neck, décolletage, chest, I put a little bit at night around here too for eye wrinkles as well, for collagen production. I mean, progesterone is important for collagen and fascia, and also for good night's sleep, and rotate inner arms. You can also use it like my Jolva cream on the perineum, on the pelvic floor, clitoris to anus, the most important real estate of our body. Keep that healthy too. So rotating sites is important with progesterone. And using it at night can help you get a really good night's sleep. Oral progesterone by prescription, compounded progesterone by your physician, and a topical cream or troche even is another way. Or my balance cream, which is over the counter, which is progesterone combined with pregnenolone, which is brain fuel. So using that can make a big difference in how you feel and your energy too.
I
So
love
that's one
that.
thing. And then magnesium and melatonin, things to help you get a good, and then adaptogens. And sometimes if we're in overdrive, I'll give a client another scoop of Mighty Maca at night in the evening so that they can, also again, works when you're in overdrive and underdrive. And that can sometimes help them get a good night's sleep, supporting the adrenal gland. So I found that to be beneficial as well. And I've worked on this because I've been OBGYN, right? I trained I had a solo practice and I trained in obstetrics and gynecology. And, sleep has been one of the hardest things. I've definitely dug into different ways, and I've actually coming out with a sleep formula called Night Z's Nightcaps. And it also has some maca in it. It has some sour cherry in it, which is really good for sleep. and a few other key ingredients that are different herbs. But the key thing is that's additional adaptogens to help support our body.
So the adaptogens, what type of adaptogens are good for people to be taking for their adrenal health, just overall when we're in perimenopause, menopause?
Yeah, definitely. What's worked for my clients is the Mighty Maca Plus with maca, resveratrol, quercetin, turmeric, cat's claw herb, and other extracts and greens and enzymes dialed into it. So that combination has been super helpful as an adaptogen. Extra vitamin C and a complex of methylated B vitamins are other key factors too. And then again, keto green. We think if we're in adrenal burnout that we need to eat 3 meals and 3 snacks. Well, not at a certain age, right? Like
Right.
perimenopause and beyond, that is not supporting your physiology. So I want to dispel that myth because so many women are struggling with that and keeping their glucose stable because they're eating way too many carbs. We have to switch that and nourish our body in a way that it's designed to be, and especially before, during, and after the transition of menopause into our second spring of our lives, like, living in our second spring. It sounds so much better than the terminology the medical coders came up with, male dominated bullshit stuff. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I wish I could kind of change the name of it.
Me too.
The
Me too. We're
name
going
of
to
it. I'm
disrupt
like,
it. Yep.
men
Disrupt it.
on pause? I don't think so. But I love all that we're talking about today. And it's just so important for women to be able to find some of these resources and things that they can do to realize and recognize that they can help themselves. And I found fasting to be a really great tool. I do intermittent fasting to get going, and then I do some more longer term fasting, and that seems to really help me for me to harvest my body's fat stores so I don't store around the middle.
Yeah. And I think that one of the biggest things that I want women to hear with that is that we worry that fasting is going to decrease our basal metabolic rate, decrease our metabolism, and we'll yo-yo diet back. That is not true. Calorie restriction will do that. Low caloric diet, you're not eating enough, you're, starving yourself throughout the day. That's going to create a very inhospitable metabolic environment. So, but fasting, it's becoming really supporting healthy metabolism. It's getting rid of, with fasting, we go into autophagy and we get rid of the energy drains on our body, the, early cellular, abnormalities and metastases and cancerous cells, right, that we're talking about, or, broken, deranged cell. We can help our body support naturally turning off unhealthy cells and turning them over. So I think that's an important thing. And with that, we're more metabolically efficient. I couldn't be here without fasting. So with Keto Green 16, we do 16, all of my programs incorporate intermittent fasting and some extended fast. And I'm in a fast right now, drinking just teas and water for right now. Because again, I'm going into 2 weeks of book launch and I want to be on point.
I'm
On point.
fasting too.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, because I've been a little bit under the weather. I wasn't hungry and I thought, well, this is perfect time. I'm just going to drink the liquids. And it really, I've noticed that I feel a lot better already. So I really am a big believer in fasting. I love that you told everyone that the difference, because for years and years, you're taught caloric restriction, you're in starvation mode, which is true. If you're only eating 800, 500 calories every day, day in, day out, your body thinks it's in starvation mode. But the studies show when we are totally giving our body a rest from eating and really doing a detox, a real fast, that your metabolism actually boosts and your body is able to get rid of the glycogen and burn through your fat stores. So, and that was just putting so much science in a couple
I
sentences.
love it. Exactly.
There's just so much to back up the fasting. And I get kind of a euphoric feeling about midway through my fast. How about you? Does it make you get that?
Well, it really depends on the fast. I think the most experience that I've had with that type of really like high was when I did a dry fast, extend a 3-day dry
I've
fast. And I don't
never done a dry
recommend, yeah,
fast.
don't recommend it. I was definitely, was part of a spiritual, like a time,
Yeah.
before I even wrote, I mean, really before I even wrote my first book, The Hormone Fix, and had been in this very tumultuous hurricane, devastated us, my home and my finances and all of that was like, and I needed clarity. And so I happened to read in the Bible the journey of St. Paul on the road to Damascus, and he was advised nothing by mouth, no food, no drink for 3 days, and that opened his eyes. And I just said, okay, well, maybe let me try. No food, no drink, I mean, no water, I mean, really. And then I studied extended dry fasting. The Russians have used it for many years with even some of their elite training programs. And so I looked, I was like, okay, well, I did it for a spiritual reason. It was incredible. It really opened my mind. And I think from there, it gave me a tremendous amount of strength and power to do, my books and my
Yeah.
clients
I
and
mean,
my
it's
family together.
crazy, but I hear what you're saying when you said that. It makes you be in charge of you instead of like food being in charge of you. I think it reverses it where you feel more in charge of what you're putting in your mouth. It's okay. I have two dogs too, but my husband took them to work today. So, but when you're fasting, you start to feel more disciplined and more in charge, and you start recognizing food is fuel versus that I live to eat. And so I love this whole thing when you said about the religious. I have a girl in the studio that's Muslim, and they have Ramadan right now, and she's fasting for a month, and she doesn't eat until night. And I said, "Oh, you're probably gonna lose a lot of weight doing that for a month." And she said the last time she lost 20 kilos. My husband says
Wow,
that's
that's
40
amazing. 40
40 pounds.
pounds. Yeah, that's a
so
lot.
so I just I find it interesting, and I like the religious aspect. It's always kind of been in the religious circles, so it's kind of interesting, but it's also got so many health benefits. And in your book you talk a lot about ketogenic ketosis, um, all of this. And I know a lot of people do know what that is, but for the listeners that don't, can you tell them what a ketogenic diet is, what ketosis is?
Yeah, definitely. So ketogenic diet is when we shift from using our glycogen or glucose from our food we're eating, the carbohydrates we're eating, and our glycogen stores, and shifting to using fat as fuel from either what we're ingesting or digging into our own fat. And that can be incredibly a powerful energy. I always say glucose is to gasoline as ketones are to jet fuel. And when we're in menopause and beyond, our brain is less efficient at using glucose for fuel, and that's for the rest of our life. We'll never go back to our baseline reproductive levels. Even with hormone replacement, it seems it definitely helps, but there's a lot more to it. So we have to shift from using glucose for fuel to using ketones, at least periodically. And that's where menopause came in. The different pauses, even things that we do that are quite healthy, pausing things that are no longer good for us right now, that may be, even though it's a healthy food, may not be good for us right now. How can we change things up? So it created 5 different pauses. And one of them is a carb up plan, because sometimes we've restricted so much that we
Uh-huh.
need those extra root
Yeah.
vegetables to get that good night's sleep, to take our workout routines to the next level. Sometimes we need that too. And I think that's really, that's the power of all of this too.
So you brought up Menopause, which is your next book. Why did you write Menopause, and what all does it entail? What can we look forward to when we get a copy of your newest book?
Oh my gosh, number one, it's gorgeous. And Menopause, just the title will make you smile. And it's definitely a good book to gift because especially, it does. It's just a fun title. Every time I say it, it makes me smile. Actually, the story is my editor, Marnie, she wanted this next menopause cookbook, and I wanted to write about the connection fix, and oxytocin. She's like, oh, let's do another menopause cookbook. And she goes, what if we called it? I'm like, we were brainstorming. And she goes, what if we called it Menopause? I was like, okay, I'm in. A lot of the things that we have to pause that no longer serve us. And when I'm working with clients and in my online programs in the Girlfriend Doctor community and Magic Menopause community, it's like, okay, well, what are you doing? Let me look and see. And I have a diet and lifestyle. It's my daily guide. And that's one of the bonuses they get when they buy Menopause. They're like a daily checklist. And I look at what they're eating and how they're feeling. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we need to pause. And what their diagnosis, they have Hashimoto's or autoimmune.
Right.
Pause nightshades. Let's pause these nightshades, the eggplant, tomatoes, mushrooms. It's a really hard one for me being Middle Eastern and Portuguese. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good, such good stuff. And so pausing that, and let's see, how do we get results from there? And then I incorporated, sometimes constipation's a big issue in the menopausal community.
Yes.
Big issue, and especially in keto community. So I created a plant pause to help support gut microbial diversity, which is critical for longevity, healthy, long life, and the diverse plant foods to help with constipation. So we improve regularity. And then I have a carnivore plan too, because sometimes we can't, we're so, our digestive system and our detoxification system is so damaged that we have to pause all plant foods temporarily. And it's a temporary pause. And it's nose to tail carnivore type of eating plan for 6 days. And that can be, again, get you into high ketosis, high clarity. I do incorporate herbs and spices for balancing and supporting detoxification. Can always do extra mighty maca in that plan too, to help with that alkalinization support, because you can get very acidic, but because of the glandulars and the food combinations, really very supportive plan. And you're in high ketosis at that point, so your brain's on fire, right? And you feel amazing. And then I go into a cleanse plan to really help restore gut mucosal lining, which then you get beautiful skin, clear eyes, stronger. And that's a really good plan. And then I had already mentioned the carb up plan as the fifth plan.
And I love that.
And it's beautiful. And the recipes, it's a color book, and oh my gosh, so pretty.
I'm excited to get my copy.
Oh my gosh. And I did on Good Morning Washington, I made the vanilla fig scones with pistachios. It's made with a almond flour, so it's
That
keto,
looks
and
amazing.
substitute the honey with a monk fruit. So, that works out really, really nicely. And, all these different, beautiful bone broth recipes, some smoothie recipes, and kefta kebabs. Just gorgeous. It's a beautiful book. Plus I incorporate breakout bars with Menopause around the world. So incorporating some wisdom from other societies.
I love all the science and so many things that you said. I'm backing up to the carving up, because so many times, and what I do, because I've trained many competitors and I am a competitor, you find the reason why you're not sleeping is you almost have to have some carbs, and carbs more in the last two meals when you're not sleeping will fix that. And so it's just interesting, the different phases of what you would do. And I also had to work on healing my gut lining, because as we start to get older, that can break down. And I've done all sorts of things, getting the prebiotic fiber, getting the glutamine, all sorts of things to just work on healing the gut. So I love that you're telling me in your book that you've kind of built these things in, and the science around just supporting the changes that your body has made, because you can't treat your body like it's 20 when it's 60, 50, 40. You have to look at, you need someone like Dr. Anna that has done her homework in school and all of the things that she, the School of Hard Knocks and all of the things that have given her experience and expertise to help all of us that maybe need a leg up. You go to somebody that's already been there, done that, and has the roadmap. And I feel like your new book, Menopause, is that roadmap for women. We didn't talk much about postmenopause. Is there hope for every woman that's been through menopause, and they've gained weight unexpectedly, like 20, 30 pounds, and they don't know why, to bounce back out of that as they come down and they've been post?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I see that over and over again of clients in their 80s, and I love it. I have one woman who's 76 years old in my girlfriend doctor community who spoke live a couple weeks ago when we do our live group calls. And she was just sharing, I mean, she's 76 and she is just an inspiration. She's never given up on herself, has kept looking and doing. And then she found me a couple years ago and she's lost 60 pounds. She feels great. She's doing more activities and she sprained her wrist hiking or something and she healed really quickly. And she's just like, this is part of the life a lifestyle that I've been looking for her, she said, for her entire life. And it's so true. And I think by design too, certain people, certain physiologies are warrior type physiologies. And those are those of us with diabetes and heart disease in our family tree. And that means I would look at that and say, gosh, you've got amazing survivor genes, not like heart disease and cancer genes. You've got amazing survivor genes. Let's work with this to empower your physiology to, like, by design, work with Mother Nature in this instance. Let's work with her and see where we go with this.
And I truly believe optimal health is sexy.
Yes.
And so I think it's worth spending the money on my mighty maca
Yes.
versus too many times to the drive through and taking time to is your book on audio?
Menopause is not. My other two books are,
Okay.
but Menopause is not, because it's mostly a cookbook with the 5 plans. So
Yeah.
yeah, kind of. And in my podcast, I do read like a little bit of it.
Okay.
That's kind of fun.
But I just think, informing yourself, listening to Dr. Anna's podcast, is this the Girlfriend Doctor?
The Girlfriend Doctor Show. Yep.
And you'll get all kinds of information, and being informed is what empowers you. And Dr. Anna, you are the picture of glowing health. Can I ask, how young are you?
I am 55 with a 14-year-old daughter at home here in the house and a new grandbaby.
And a
So
new grandbaby.
yes. So a whole nother want to redefine being a grandma too, and redefine this postmenopause time period as well. Again, at both sides of my family tree, diabetes and heart disease. And I know like the hardship that is. And so I definitely feel like, okay, the second spring of our life can be even more fulfilling than the first. And I want to, live it with really high quality. So that's why when my doctor's bag was empty, and I always say this, Linda, because we look to our physicians, but I wish no physician the journey I've been on to learn what I know. And that's why I'm passionate about teaching and writing. I lecture all over the world and train physicians in what I do. And now this new Menopause may turn into a certification program for coaches too, to help them with the different concepts that are part of the plans.
I love that. I did Dr. Stephanie Estima's certification. And I think doing that in the health and wellness space is huge, because you can only obviously work with so many people one-on-one or in a group setting. And so you're empowering your message to really trickle out and have that ripple effect. And I wouldn't be worth my salt today if I didn't ask you, what do you tell all of your peri, post, menopause, all your women about strength training?
Oh my gosh, muscle is magic in menopause, right? Muscle is necessary. And I'll be honest with you, Deborah Atkinson gets on me this too. Like, I don't love it. I love my hot yoga class and sculpt class. So there's a lot of strength and, in body weight, of course, but it is essential for menopause. And it is something I highly recommend: HIIT training, strength training. And this, like, without that, I mean, we're in decline. We have to continue to challenge ourselves in all ways. So yeah, a very important part. In Keto Green 16, I include a workout regimen, a 16-minute, of course, 16-minute workout regimen too, to just emphasize that, but so important, Linda.
I love that. And what do you do for women when they are in menopause? So probably not creating as much testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, estradiol, all these things. Is it harder for them then when they lift to be able to put muscle on? And what is your recommendations around that?
I am all about balancing our bioidentical hormones. First, supporting the adrenals, right? So we want to go from the mighty maca to support our natural production of DHEA. And then progesterone cyclically here in the evenings, taking breaks in it periodically, 1 to 2 days off a week postmenopausally, 3 to 5 days off per month. I think that's really important. And so I think that's critical. And then downstream, right? Doing everything, the lifestyle factors to decrease our cortisol, because cortisol is going to deplete, it's going to cause the depletion of the hormones that help produce testosterone, and also increases testosterone conversion to dihydrotestosterone, which in women isn't pretty, will cause that male hair loss and acne. So we want to make sure that that's really focused and optimal and balanced. And I believe in balancing our hormones, and I use compounded pharmacies to customize hormonal therapy. And I've done that for women. That's how I teach physicians to do it now.
I love that. Now, are women able to go to your website and get this type of thing from you, or?
No, the Mighty Maca, the Julva, which has DHEA in it, and the Balance Cream has the progesterone in it. So those that don't have a physician that's customizing their hormonal regimen, these are options for them. So non-prescription formulas like the Balance, the Julva, and the Mighty Maca, which is a food supplement, but Julva is a cream and Balance is a cream. And that guidance, really give more of that guidance in my book, The Hormone Fix. And then secondly, is working, with the 90%, the keto green way, because that's the 90%, and then fine tuning. And I always tell clients to find a good physician that's comfortable compounding and customizing your hormone therapy. Call your compounding pharmacy, call your best compounding pharmacy in the city, town, state that you live in, and ask them, who do they recommend in your state? And sometimes you call an international, another pharmacy like Women's International Pharmacy or Belmar Pharmacy or Innovative Compounding. I use them a lot. And my local pharmacy in Georgia, Seaside Pharmacy, and I've worked with them to help customize my formulas. And you can, call them and say, well, do you have a doctor in my town that you'd recommend, or close proximity? But now with virtual physician visits, that's the best way to get someone best suited for you.
That's so great. I have so enjoyed thoroughly this conversation today, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback from all of you lovely ladies out there. Dr. Anna, what do you have for us today? Where can everybody reach you on social media and get your book?
Definitely join me. Thank you, Linda. This has been fun. Join me on social media at The Girlfriend Doctor. So I'm on Instagram a lot because I see pictures of my grandbaby there too. So at the Girlfriend Doctor, and my website is dranna.com, DRANNA.com. You can get my book anywhere books are sold. And then we've got some good book bonuses for you. When you get the book, there's extra downloads, cooking videos, and additional support of my daily activity log. That's part of the book bonuses. And there's information on my website. And Linda, you'll have the links for that, as well as a good Menopause quiz. Like, okay, maybe what's the next right step of these 5 plans? What might be the next right step? I do recommend going through them in order, and we'll be doing that in my Girlfriend Doctor community, but going through them in order, and but you can take a quiz and say, for me, it was the cleanse. Like I took the quiz and I got the cleanse. I'm like, darn, I wanted the carb up plan. Is not the case. So it's kind of fun to do that too.
I love that. So they're going to go to your website,
dranna.com, DRANNA.com.
and to reach you on social media, it's the Girlfriend Doctor.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, make sure you go out. It's coming out April 11th or
April 12th. April 12th.
Okay, so this book is coming out April 12th. Make sure to order your copy so you can get the bonuses and everything that Dr. Anna has talked about today. And let me know what you thought of this episode. And I just loved you, Dr. Anna. You're so relatable.
Thank you. It's been great to be here with you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. Keep on keeping on.